Welcome to Senior Moments. I'm your host, Vicki Peterson. Today we're going to be talking about a company that patrols Medicare. So make sure you get your pens and your papers out. I tell you every week, I always want to have information. You're going to need a pen and paper. You're going to need to be writing things down because that's what Senior Moments is all about, sharing information with you. So after this short break, I will be back to introduce you to Nancy Moore. Be right back.
Hello, my name is Terrence White, and I'm the Executive Director of Community Action of Greater Indianapolis. Serving the counties of Marion, Hamilton, Hendricks, and Boone, our mission is to empower those we serve to be self-sufficient and self-reliant. We offer a variety of programming, including senior and youth programs, case management, weatherization, financial coaching, and more. Please visit our website for more information or call 317-396-1800.
A Senior Moment with Vicki Peterson.
Seniors, let's talk about Alzheimer's and dementia. If you or a loved one have concerns about memory loss, it is very important to be evaluated by a doctor. Early diagnosis allows you and your family time to participate in decisions about your care, living arrangements, financial, and legal matters. For more information, contact Alzheimer's Association National Office. Welcome back. I'd like to introduce you to my guest, as I promised, Miss Nancy Moore. How are you, Nancy?
I'm great. I really appreciate you having me on, Vicki.
Oh, thank you so much for being my guest today.
Yes.
The pleasure's all mine, really, it is.
Great.
Okay, so tell us a little about the company.
Okay. It's actually, I work for Indiana Association of Area Agencies on Aging. That's a mouthful. So we call it I4A. And what that is the trade or membership association for all the area agencies on aging throughout the state of Indiana. SACOA is the agency on aging that covers Marion County and the Donut counties. And Senior Medicare Patrol is one of our programs. It's a federally funded program that every state has a Senior Medicare Patrol. And we are charged with really educating beneficiaries, their caregivers, and even professionals that serve them on how to avoid, detect, and report Medicare fraud. Because Medicare fraud is a huge problem. They estimate it's about 10% of the Medicare expenditures. So you're thinking, you know, they estimate, it's a real loose estimate, $60 billion a year. That's with a B. Wow. And that's fraud, abuse, improper payments. Because Medicare is pretty much, you know, they get, if things are submitted correctly, that gets paid, but you may find that that was a coding error, a billing error, or was, you know, unintentional fraud. But that can be very difficult to ascertain. And even though we're called Senior Medicare Patrol, we don't, you know, I'm not deputized, I don't have a gun. So we are here to educate the citizens really of the whole state on how to, you know, how to be an active participant in your Medicare program, making sure that you're being billed correctly for things that you did receive or services that were rendered. And so that can be a little difficult to determine, but we help them and just help them be more, you know, conscientious consumers, because we all need to worry about Medicare fraud.
So how often do you do, I should say? How do you go about?
How do we go about that?
Educating?
Primarily, we educate people through group education. We were at a state house event that you were, that's how we got to meet you.
Yes.
You know, at any kind of community health fair, senior fairs. But we also like to educate, you know, one-on-one. They do one-on-one counseling, primarily through our volunteers. And we have a volunteer force throughout the state through our partners, which are mainly area agencies on aging like SEQOA, and a few senior centers. Around town here, it's Prime Life Enrichment in Carmel. We have one in Shelby County, Shelby Senior Services, and we also have Hendricks County Senior Services and Heritage Place in Indianapolis.
How long have you guys been around?
We have been funded. This is a federally funded program.
Okay.
As I said, every state has a senior Medicare patrol in various, entities. Some are even in a Better Business Bureau. Our grant is held by I4A. So we have been around since the inception, 1997. So we've gotten that grant, yes, and we're kind of the best kept secret. We're really a grassroots organization. As I said, we only fund about 2.5 full-time paid staff, and then we use our networks of the area agencies on aging and volunteers to, and people that are on Medicare, because, nothing like credibility. If you're on Medicare and you're going through the program and you understand the ropes, so we train all our volunteers to be able to do this.
So what can we do to prevent Medicare fraud?
Well, that's a big question, and it's kind of overwhelming because you get a hospital bill, or, you've been maybe receiving even like physical therapy or something. You may not understand all the codes, but first is reading your Medicare summary notice, or if you're on a Medicare Advantage plan, reading that explanation of benefits. And so getting familiar with that, not being afraid to question a bill. For example, one of my staff members, she does a lot of our outreach as well. Her husband had a back pain. He was in a car accident. And so the doctor recommended a procedure. They do one side of the back, and then 3 weeks later, they do the other side. So he had the first side done, and about a week later, he said, this really isn't doing anything. It's not helping the pain. So he canceled the second part of that procedure. And about a month later, he got his Medicare summary notice, and he noticed they billed for both sides. So, he called right away, called the provider. That's what we recommend. You call the provider and say, I don't understand this. I didn't receive that second side, or whatever the situation is. And so they took that right off. They said, well, and that's kind of an abusive situation. I don't know that there was out and out intent to fraud the government or Medicare, but it's just the way they set up the billing. So again, being not afraid to question and to say, I don't understand this charge. That's one way you can become, a better constituent of your Medicare.
So what are some of the Medicare fraud trends?
Yes, the big trend right now is in the back brace, knee brace scam. But there's all areas, and I can go into that later because it's quite detailed. Okay. But, any area of Medicare has potential for Medicare fraud. Hospitals, can do fraud. Hospice, which is especially egregious, when people are going through that process with a loved one. Home care, ambulance, pharmacy is another one. Upcharging, upcoding, and that again is a little bit difficult for the consumer to really know. Right. Did I receive a in-depth, appointment with my doctor? But if you were just in and out in a couple of minutes, then you have the right to question and have that evaluated.
So what your company do, actually, if I'm hearing correctly, is you try to educate the consumer. Yes. So the consumer would start paying close attention to their bills. Yes. Then contacting you guys?
They can contact us directly. We have an 800 number, which is 1-800-986-3505, and it's on our, all our material. But that would route you to the area of the state that helps us with this program. So you can always call me directly at 317-205 9201. And my name is Nancy Moore, and I can help you figure that out.
Right,
if
navigate
this is
the whole.
navigate,
Yes.
because again, a lot of this is difficult. Billing is complicated, insurance is complicated. But a lot of times it's the caregiver. It might be the son or daughter, adult, as your parents get older, they may not really understand most of that.
That's true.
Or have the wherewithal to go through all the paperwork, especially when you're going through, something. I myself am a breast cancer survivor, and I know it's like, that's the last thing I really wanted to do is, deal with, go through all the bills. But it's very important that we all become better equipped to do that. They estimate 10,000 people a day are turning 65 in the United States. And they estimate the fraud to be 60 to 90 billion. I've heard, that's a $30 billion difference, but do the math. A lot of people are turning 65. The boomers are turning 65. So this can be, quite important for all of us to really become better consumers of our Medicare program.
Okay, so tell me again, what are the most areas you find in this fraud in?
Yeah, well,
so they kind of know where to start.
Again, it's, it can be pretty much anywhere, but durable medical equipment, now that's an area I want to go in a little more in depth.
Okay.
But home care, also pharmaceuticals, pain management is a big area. You can kind of see that might be, an area where people are getting medications maybe that are billed at a certain rate. Again, you need an expert to kind of help you go through this. We also work closely with SHIP, which is another state program. Every state has a SHIP, which I know all these acronyms are kind of hard to keep up with. It's government speak, okay? But SHIP stands for State Health Insurance, and then they throw in assistance program. But a SHIP counselor can also sit down with you to help you understand which Medicare program might be best for you. Now, they're not going to make the decision, and they don't sell insurance. So they are truly unbiased counselors. But again, the people we work with at the area agencies on aging throughout the state and the area senior centers are also trained in Medicare. So they have a little, they have not a little, but they have an in-depth knowledge of Medicare and how it works. And so they are, better trained at kind of determining, does that feel like fraud, seem like fraud? Is that something worth reporting? So what we do, if we do find it's a potential fraudulent action, we, through our funder, which is the government agency, we file that and send that to the Office of Inspector General, which is OIG. Again, I told you a lot of acronyms. But then they do the investigations. So we are just really here to educate, but we can also report it to the proper authorities.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back so Nancy can break some of this down for us. As she said, it's long. So we're going to take a short break and be right back.
A Senior Moment with Vicki Peterson.
Seniors, you probably notice your appetite and food habits changing as you age. Your daily food choices can make a major impact on your health. Healthier eating habits will make you feel better and makes for a better doctor visit. Foods like vegetables, fruit, whole grain beans, and breads. You'll also need 3 servings of low-fat milk, yogurt, or cheese daily for strong bones. Contact your doctor to schedule a visit with a nutritionist. And don't forget your water.
Over 70% of Americans want to spend their final days at home with family and friends.
With hospice care, we can take care of your father at home, right in his bedroom, including visits by a nurse.
I'm so relieved to hear that.
This will make Grandpa really happy.
he's comfortable and pain-free.
Visit our website at www.hospicesupportfund.org to connect with your local nonprofit hospice and download our free end-of-life planner.
Welcome back. You're watching Senior Moments with Vicki Peterson. And my guest here today, Nancy Moore. So Nancy, tell us about what your role is with the organization.
Okay, yes. I'm the program director for Senior Medicare Patrol. And so I get to write the grants and the reports, so we can continue to get funding to do this outreach. And then, of course, I wear a lot of hats. In a nonprofit, you wear a lot of hats. I get to do outreach and, all sorts of things, but...
you said something earlier that you were a well-kept secret, and I have to agree with you on that, because until one of your volunteers were at this Indiana Senior Day, I knew nothing about you guys, but I thought it was an awesome organization.
It is unfortunate. We work with some bigger name people like AARP, the Indiana Attorney General's office, Indiana Secretary of State's office, because they have the name recognition. And but SHIP and SMP, like I mentioned before, the state health insurance program, and SMP is in every state, actually, Guam, Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, trying to get a transfer to there would be nice, But no, it's a great program, and the government is fully supporting us, and our funding is good. But we do serve a lot of people throughout the year, and they do hear about us through trusted entities like the ones I mentioned and the Area Agencies on Aging, which is SACOA here. Right. So if you're ever in doubt, you can't remember SMP, just call your Area Agency on Aging and they can help you.
And that is SACOA, you're absolutely right. So tell me more about this durable medical equipment.
The DME, or Durable Medical Equipment Fraud Scheme, is nationwide. It's been going on for several years. Bob Siegel at WTHR has done a couple of stories on it, actually. What it is, they call people they use call centers or late night TV ads talking about, do you have back pain? Well, who doesn't at 83 or 85 or even 70 something? And so people call or they respond to these phone calls, and then they have somebody, a durable medical equipment provider calls them, who is, been certified by Medicare, but it's very easy to become a DME provider. It doesn't take a lot of, and so then what they do is sell them a back brace through their Medicaid. It won't cost you anything. You qualify, is what they say, for a back brace. And that's not the way to go about it, first of all, because the type of braces they send are inferior. They're not fitted to you specifically. And it's just a waste of money, and it's costing Medicare tens of thousands of dollars. These braces can cost, around $800 to $1,200 each. So Medicare pays 80%, and that still adds up. Most of the cases, and I've been getting people call, I get 4 or 5 calls a week about this, and they call, they're harassing people. They call them 20 to 30 times a day and say, don't you have a pain? Don't you need a back brace? Or knee brace or shoulder brace or any kind of brace they can sell. And then it's really fraudulent, and the government knows about it, but it's very hard to track down, because in some instances people have agreed to it, even though they're not really knowing what they're agreeing to. And so it's costing the government money. And meanwhile, if you needed a real back brace, after, there's only so many years you can have a new back brace or knee brace. So you may not be able to get the one you actually need. So people need to, first of all, and we talk a lot about consumer fraud and fraud over the phone. The telephone is not your friend. You really need to screen your calls. And I know that's difficult for people, especially if you're waiting for a call back from a doctor. But there are things you can call your provider, whether that be your phone or cell phone provider, and ask them to block certain calls, or there are apps for cell phones that you can use that will filter a lot of these, call center calls, robocalls. They don't, but we talk a lot about that, and a lot of our partners do as well, because a lot of the the Attorney General's office tells people, that if something that's coming to you unsolicited, you cannot trust that anymore. Yeah. And, if somebody says you qualify for a back brace, well, if you're really having pain and you feel like you need some relief on that, call your doctor. Call your doctor and talk to them. But actually, there may be need for there are Medicare marketing guidelines. Okay, Medicare has all kinds of rules and regulations. And so there are regulations that allow people, DME providers, to call you if you've ordered something from them before, if they can call you about that item, they can call you about another item they provide, or if you've signed a release, which if you're getting home care, if you're coming home from a rehab stay or something, you get all kinds of papers you sign. So just be very careful. Do not give out any personal information over the phone. It's the same, song and dance we always tell older adults, but it's very critical because this back brace, knee brace scam, Bob Siegel's mother, who lives in Arizona, who had been bedridden for 10 years. Now, she doesn't remember getting the call, so we don't know, but she got four braces, to the tune of about $3,500. Wow. And that adds up,
So you have some tips for seniors that you
Yes, tips. Number one is just, if you do pick up a call and it sounds like it's a call center, somebody trying to sell you something, hang up. First of all, screen your calls. They now have an adapter, you can put it on your TV where it'll tell the number they're calling from. If it's a legitimate call, they will leave a message. I mean, they can also spoof those calls to make them look like they're coming from another agency or sheriff department or, the IRS or all these imposter scams, but they keep happening because people answer their phone. So we need to be like the millennials and not answer our phone, and just let it go to voicemail. If it's truly important, you will get the message. Right. And there are other, like I said, call your phone provider, your landline, if you still have a landline. There are some things you can get on your phone to help some of those spam calls. But the government estimates the robocalls have quadrupled. It's just ridiculous, So the more, even if you call and hang up, that signifies that it's a working number. So then they sell your number on they call it the dark web or the black market or whatever you want to, and you'll get more calls. So really, I say, and I know this sounds a little scary, but I say, would you pick up a hitchhiker? And everybody says no. We used to back in the 60s, but you can't do that anymore. But answering the phone is like picking up a hitchhiker or like answering the door to somebody you don't know. So really screen your calls. If you do get one, just hang up. Of course, if somebody wants your Medicare number, now the Medicare card now does not have the Social Security number on it, but the old card does, and the government is allowing providers to actually use the old card that has the Social Security on it until the end of the year. So a lot of these scammers, it's really identity theft they're looking for. So they'll ask for that old Medicare card because it's got the social number on it. You definitely don't want to give that out. You really don't want to give out anything over the phone. Just, carte blanche, do not give out the information.
So you guys educate seniors with all
about
that information as well.
Yeah, and again, don't provide, some people let people use their Medicare card to get services. Don't do that kind of thing. You can be sanctioned for that. I mean, you can go to, there are criminal and civil, if a if a beneficiary, lets someone use their card or, acts on behalf of a fraudulent provider.
Well, that's new to me.
Yeah, so there's all kinds of scams out there. But,
so let's say I'm with my grandma and we're going over this bill real quick because, agree to round up here.
Yeah.
And I want you to give your number out real quick again.
Okay.
As to how they can contact you, Nancy, if they feel they
you can call our 800 number, which is 800-986-3505. Or you can call me directly, Nancy Moore. This is my direct line, 317-205-9201.
Or they can come by this event real quick.
And we're doing an event here in Noblesville at the Noble Naz Church, April 3rd. It's a fraud forum. Bob Siegel's going to be our MC. We're going to have all kinds of experts out there on all kinds of fraud, not just Medicare fraud.
All right.
So please come. Or let us know if you want a presentation. We'd love to come to your church or group.
All right.
Give me a call.
Okay.
Thank
you.
We
want to thank Nancy for this information about Medicare fraud. And so she gave your number. See you next week.
Hello, my name is Terrence White, and I'm the Executive Director of Community Action of Greater Indianapolis. Serving the counties of Marion, Hamilton, Hendricks, and Boone, our mission is to empower those we serve to be self-sufficient and self-reliant. We offer a variety of programming, including senior and youth programs, case management, weatherization, financial coaching, and more. Please visit our website for more information or call 317-396-1800.
A Senior Moment with Vicki Peterson.
Seniors, are you just not feeling like yourself anymore due to the death of a spouse, children, or friends? Your grief is real and can sometimes lead to depression. You may feel like you'll never feel better and that nothing and no one can help, but that's not true. Call the Senior Helpline so they can connect you with the proper help and resources in your community. Don't suffer in silence. You are not alone. We're here to help.
Happy birthday!
Wonderful. Thank you, dear, very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You make me feel so young. You make me feel so spring has sprung. And every time I see you,
you're not fooling anybody, you know. Think young. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Okay, we want to thank you, Nancy, for coming by and sharing the information about Medicaid fraud with us. And it's time to come to a close again, guys. So, as I always like to tell you, remember, this is the day that the Lord has made. Make up your mind that you will rejoice and be glad in it. Have a great week, and see you next week here for Senior Moments.